Happy Friday and welcome to a special Friday Tech Bites show. We're coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast. I'm Rick Vanover from Veeam. I'm joining you from Las Vegas. I'm got Mark Nijmeijer from Nutanix joining me from California, but we want to know where you are. So go ahead and drop. I'm seeing some great activity in the chat. Drop where you're joining us from. We're going to light this application up. We've already had an incredible number of entries. Mississippi, France, Brazil, California. Well, that's our. We just had other people on the chat letting us know. We're on a good start here. Let's let it. Brazil, bon dia, and India, Saudi. I'm doing my best at the map. I don't remember all the countries, but we want to see where you're from. So let us know where you're from. Joining me today is as a regular on the streams, Mark Nijmeijer. How you doing, Mark?
Very good, Rick. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. And, we kind of combined an interesting little topic here. We're fresh off Amazon reInvent, great activity here. I'm in Las Vegas still, heading out here in a moment. And, when we were preparing for this, Mark, it actually was kind of a nice kind of combination topic because Nutanix does a lot with Amazon as well. Do you want to tell us kind of high level, kind of how that HCI is not always what you think nowadays?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and good to see you out there in person. After 18, 20 months now, it's definitely time to see people in person again and so on. So great to see you out there. But yeah, definitely very excited to talk about Nutanix, our relationship with AWS. Like you said, HCI definitely has moved on a little bit, right? Nutanix started as one of the pioneers in the HCI. This is hyper-converged infrastructure, as we call it back then. But now we're really moving into a hybrid cloud infrastructure, right? The same management plane, the same data plane now basically goes from on-prem, can now extend into the AWS Cloud as well. So we've worked very closely with Amazon, with the AWS crew, to make sure that our software is optimized to run on AWS bare metal nodes. So like I said, the same operating system, the same management structure, all of the same business benefits now stretch from on-prem into the cloud. And we have quite a few customers that are using it as well already. For various workloads, sitting really close to your SaaS applications. Some of them are actually using it for backup or DR use cases. So a lot of interesting use cases there, Rick.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight, Mark, that something as broad as Amazon Web Services, from a market share standpoint, the leader in the hyperscale public cloud, there's a lot of different conversations to have. IT is not IT as you know it in that cloud. And, the customers and partners that Veeam works with, we have familiar conversations. And much like what you explained just now, it's familiar conversations and familiar use cases in the cloud, but there's so much to it. And then all these new announcements, right? It just makes this technology ecosystem a very broad conversation. And as we saw some of the images through the cycle here through the week, we at Veeam brought a number of different experiences to this event. We brought presentations at our booth. We had a cloud native data management day breakfast for the Kubernetes and cloud native apps world, because that's a whole nother conversation too. And then we had our breakout sessions around cloud native backups. And I spoke to even organizations that are still moving into the cloud, right? Mm-hmm. So I really like your HCI, version 2, right? Hybrid cloud infrastructure. That's really the same outcome of being able to, really meet these needs in these new platforms. So it's a great joint market. And I got to give also a big recognition to Amazon. They, there's a lot of, circumstances to go into putting out an event like this nowadays. I was thoroughly impressed. So I got to give a big hat tip to that team. They did a great job in spite of current conditions. So I was really happy about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so just got a update that we're almost ready for the map. So Yeah, we're almost ready for the map. So let's go ahead and switch over to the PowerPoint and get started. And then we'll come back to the map in just a second, but let us know in the map where you're from. So anyways, Veeam and Nutanix is also kind of the topic we wanted to talk about today. And Mark, there's really three main ways that the Veeam backup products and the Nutanix offerings kind of align. And I really like this list because honestly, they're very different. A lot of times Veeam's alliances are very specific to one thing, kind of just remanipulated another way. But from your point of view, I guess pick a favorite. Which one of these three are maybe your favorites?
Well, they're all very powerful and very thankful for our great relationship. Definitely have built, like you said, we have built it out over the last few years. Starting initially with the AHV integration, then my personal favorite, of course, is Nutanix Mine, right? The integrated solution, completely designed to provide and like a holistic backup for any environment, but leveraging all of the Nutanix goodness. So we're really combining best of breeds in terms of platform and backup software, putting that together in a very easy to deploy, very easy to scale bundle. And then over the last year and a half, we've really partnered to make the integration with Nutanix files seamless, the integration with Nutanix objects seamless. Both are part of our unified storage offering now. Files being focused on SMB and then objects being focused on S3 compatible storage for structured and unstructured data. So all three really good, really powerful. But yeah, definitely my favorite is Nutanix Mine.
And that's good. We do have a demo of Nutanix Mine coming up here. So I think
awesome.
my favorite is probably, I like the Nutanix files because it has the Veeam ready qualification with object immutability. That's a favorite one. I guess I like mine as well. It's like children. You can't really pick a favorite, but and then the HV backup, we just took a big release on version 3 for instant recovery. So there's so much into it. So let's jump over here. I lost my mouse, but there it is. Veeam backup for AHV. We'll start here. And, the AHV hypervisor, this is a pretty powerful angle to have that base backup and recovery going into Veeam repositories. It could even go into Nutanix Mine. A lot of capabilities here. I'll tell you, Mark, I see a lot of data as you do, but I see a lot of customer data, a lot of configurations. When I run into Nutanix AHV customers, man, they are a passionate group and they love Prism and they love the management plane. What can you tell me about the AHV hypervisor? Because I think the backup's easy, but from the hypervisor itself, what do you see in the market?
Yeah, so I think the corporate model for Nutanix is really to make, like you said, very complex things as simple as possible, right? If you look at the data centers from like 15, maybe even 10 or 5 years ago, there's a lot of complexity, there's a lot of technology, there's a lot of things that you have to manage and troubleshoot, and really just to keep the lights on. We pride ourselves on making those complex things very, very simple. One single management layer that manages your storage, your compute, your hypervisor, your applications, lifecycle management, and so on. So we've really invested a lot of time and effort in the architecture, make it performant, make it self-healing, but also in the user interface, in the UX design, to make complex workflows as simple as possible. If possible, even one-click, two-click operations. And that's where that enthusiasm comes from, because people just love the simplicity of running a Nutanix cluster or a Nutanix data center, because it reduces their OpEx. It reduces the amount of time that they have to manage the infrastructure, and now can focus on business-focused projects rather than, like I said, just keeping the lights on. So that's really where a lot of that enthusiasm is coming from, Rick.
Yeah, and that's an interesting observation. That ease of use, that's a consistent theme with Veeam backup and replication. I like to say Veeam is too difficult to use, said nobody ever.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll go on to the map here. The producers tell me that the map is ready, and wow, we have a lot to share on the map. We've got Ohio, and it's not me this time, so I know this guy and another person who's said Ohio, Massachusetts, Colorado, Texas. We've also got over in Europe, we've got Germany has joined us, France, Turkey, Austria, Czech, Romania, Poland. I want to go to Poland. And then down in South America, we've got Brazil, Mexico, Guadalupe. That might be a first in the Caribbean, by the way. And then over in the Middle East and Africa, we've got, again, Saudi, Morocco, Jordan, Nigeria, Kenya, and over in SARC, we've got India and Pakistan, Iran. A lot of stuff going on. Wow. So I really appreciate everyone letting us know where you're from. And if you've just joined, we're going to come back to the map here in a second. So you can still get your country lit up. I have this challenge with Mark, with the Friday Tech Bites team and the Industry Insights team. We want to get the biggest map ever. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think we're gonna win at some point. We got to figure it out.
It's looking pretty green already.
So the next thing I want to, it is. So the next thing I'll highlight, we'll talk about Mine right now, and I'm actually just going to go straight into the demo. So Nutanix Mine, for those who aren't familiar with it, right, it's that purpose-built solution where Veeam and Nutanix are just configured, and it's a complete solution. So what we're looking at here is this dashboard that has a great overview that's very intuitive of all of the different parts of the backup infrastructure. And I can go look at the storage, and having this infrastructure, this actual, and I believe, Mark, this runs on HV itself. I think this infrastructure.
That is correct.
Yeah, so these storage containers where the backups go, very easy to look at and see all of these different volume groups. So in this particular one here, these three at the end are the individual Veeam repositories, and the individual infrastructure, 24 virtual disks that are assigned to it. You have good visibility on it. This is the backup appliance. And when I was preparing for this, and myself, Mark, I've not set mine up in the lab, but by watching these different resources, it's really easy. And so I understand why the users like it. And then when you look on this side here, you have those three storage groups represented as Linux hosts, and that'll translate to some repositories here in a second. But you'll see that the components are all in here, right? A Mine solution has the proxies that one needs to do the backups. It'll have the individual Linux hosts that are hosting those backup repositories. And then in this example, it's backing up a vCenter environment. And then the Windows server, which is this particular system that's running Veeam backup and replication. And I love my scale out backup repository, and that's where those backups go. And guess where? They go to these three individual Linux hosts that have storage that are backed on those volume groups that we just looked at. And that's the beautiful thing, is that the scale out backup repository is going to just distribute across those in a performance policy. And if you wanted to, you could, and actually I don't know for sure, Mark, but we could actually scale this out to Nutanix objects as well. Or would that have to be on a different, it wouldn't be on Mine, I can't remember.
Yes, so we introduced a new version of Mine that is completely object-based. So you can set up that version of Mine basically as the capacity tier for your primary Mine cluster.
There we go. And then using this or consuming a Nutanix Mine target just gives all the same options that are in use and what organizations have been familiar with Veeam. And there's some built-in storage efficiencies that can be done on the capture. And I actually like this type of arrangement because you're getting these higher performance storage targets for a backup. And that's something I've been trying to focus on a little bit here, because you're going to get a higher performance restore. But anyways, we'll just go ahead and run through this job menu, and it's really the same as anything else that we might use in Veeam, including the scheduling. And once we run that job, we'll go ahead and ingest some data into Nutanix Mine. You see that this particular job is going to start and kick off here, and it's just a sample job. It's a small Linux system. But once you do that, you'll see that as it goes to start and data starts being transferred into Nutanix Mine, you'll see it starts to flow in Veeam backup and replication. But if we jump back over into Nutanix Mine, you can see that this session is actually just going to be ingesting right there. You'll see one job is running. So you have this nice end-to-end view that can see this backup data come into Nutanix Mine. And granted, that's a quick look here, Mark, but I think it's really easy. Anything you want to add to that?
Easy was our design call, right? Easy to deploy. We completely automated the install, so taking out the risk of manual configuration and making mistakes there and so on. It's easy to size. It's easy to manage. Like this dashboard, we spend a lot of time on to make sure that all of the necessary information is there, that you can just walk in 9 a.m., cup of coffee, and yep, backups have run, storage is doing good, the performance is there. And then it's easy to scale and easy to support as well, right? You can start really small, add a few nodes. Everything is set up so we automatically make use of that extra capacity in the cluster. You don't have to do any management operations to make use of that new capacity, and you get more performance as well, right? Because we automatically load balance all of the incoming backup jobs over the new compute that is present on those new nodes within the Mine cluster. So really leveraging the power of HCI that I was talking about in the beginning, Rick.
Indeed. And I think that, I apologize, I accidentally deleted, I moved my slide around wrong, so I must have made a small change here. This is the one I wanted to highlight. Apologize for a misaligned transition. But yeah, this is truly an integrated data protection experience. And I think that's important because I talk to a lot of customers, Mark, that this is what a lot of the market wants. And when I make this recommendation for this kind of integrated, integrated data protection offering, they check it out. And I think if you're, for the audience, looking for that integrated type of appliance, this is the way to achieve that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but I believe there's like 3 or 4 different, I use the word t-shirt sizes, and then it can be scaled as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have a few reference models, I would call it now.
Yeah. Okay.
That we have put together based on standard Nutanix configurations that are optimized in terms of compute and memory and storage layout. So that's kind of a starting point. What we do see is that we're starting to put together some more custom configurations for larger environments and so on. So we're definitely offering the flexibility of using larger nodes, deeper storage nodes, and so on to really make sure that we can cover any use case, Rick.
Yeah, and I think that optimized is the word that sticks out to me the most, Mark.
Yep.
And I'll admit, as a software company, sometimes I struggle at Veeam to give like very specific recommendations because we're just by default so agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
This type of approach has it optimized, and I think that is really important because, the hardware does matter, the speeds and feeds do matter, the underlying disks do matter, and having this type of design that's optimized is the way to go. All right, I just got word from the producers that the map is ready, so thank you all who have let us know where you are from. And let's take a look now. Over in the U.S., we've added Florida, and we've had some additional members from some of the existing states. We've added a few over in Europe. We've added, let's see, Ireland and Italy, and we've also added Egypt in North Africa, so welcome there. And we've also added Thailand over in Asia. It's funny, everyone, I just went to a really good Thai restaurant 2 days ago. And then back over in South America, we've got a visitor from Venezuela. I did a lot of work there back in the day. True story. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing where you're from. I appreciate that. So let's go back to the slide deck here, and let's talk a little bit about files and objects. So this is one of my favorites, Mark, but I love the files as a target, files as a source, objects as a capacity tier top target for Veeam, including Veeam Ready Object with immutability. This is great for us. I love it. I love having these types of integrated offerings. What can you kind of offer from a Nutanix standpoint? Are people really using Nutanix files and Nutanix objects? And if so, what are they using it for?
Yeah, so files has been very, very popular. Everybody uses file-based storage, right? And everybody has a NetApp or an Isilon sitting around and so on. And now you can use the Nutanix capacity to basically serve out those file-based workloads. So rather than once again having to manage yet another platform, you can actually you leverage your Nutanix platform to serve out files-based storage. You can either place it co-located with your workloads, or you can design it to be a completely standalone files cluster, a dedicated cluster for your files. But once again, it leverages all of the HCI goodness, right? So automatic scalability, very high performance, and so on. Objects has been out for about 2 years, and we see fantastic adoption over there as well. Everybody pretty much is using objects-based storage, S3 compatible storage, and so on. So once again, leveraging the power of HCI, leveraging the capacity that is in your Nutanix cluster, you can now use for completely unstructured data with objects. And then having the Veeam integration for both, right? Being able to very efficiently back up your files deployments, and then with objects basically providing the object immutability feature to really be able to lock down those backups, even in case of like ransomware attacks, right? It's really that last line of defense against ransomware, having that known good copy of your data that you can always recover from. That's really a very good security network.
Yeah, I'll double down on that, Mark. The Veeam Ready object with immutability competency is a very effective specimen to ensure data recovery in a ransomware incident. Can't emphasize that enough.
Yep.
When I talk to organizations who do not have positive outcomes from ransomware incidents, very consistently, they don't have a copy of data that's either immutable, offline, or air-gapped. So immediate course of action for sure. And I had a couple people commenting here with the maps. We've already done both maps, but even on the replay, let us know where you're from, because we make these like post-event map situations. But we've had really good interaction here. Appreciate you for watching here. And I think we're live on the 3 networks, so that's a good one today. So really, let's kind of put this all together. It's an end-to-end data protection offering here from Nutanix and Veeam. And on the left, whether it's the files, HV, physical servers, with the agents, other virtualization platforms, you can really just have all of that go into Nutanix Mine and have that long-term retention, both in Nutanix objects, the cloud, S3 compatible, and even off to tape. I guess this is the new HCI, as it were.
It is. It completely is, right? It really ties together, like I said, all of the Veeam goodness, the power of our HCI platform, and now stretches into AWS as well, right? So I really think this is like very good solution.
I do. I tell you what, this is a platform that I like. That's why Mark keeps coming up on the show, guys. I'm just saying. All right, so let's kind of go towards the second half of the end of our show here, and I want to highlight 2 different pages here on both the Nutanix page and the Veeam page. And really, we kind of put the Nutanix starting point, and then on the Nutanix site, the Veeam starting point on these 2 pages. And I think that it's really important to take a look at that. And you'll quickly see that they each start talking about each other. But us as Veeam and Mark's group as Nutanix, start with their story, which is really good. So, Mark, anything you want to kind of add as a closing comment?
No, definitely check out the information that we have over there. We have the solution briefs out there, reference architectures, demo videos, and things like that. So if you want to take some time to really educate yourself further, look over there. Also, feel free to reach out to either your Veeam or your Nutanix account team. They are very well trained, very well enabled to basically help you make the next step. In terms of designing your data center, maybe modernizing the data center, but also on the data protection side with Veeam, with the AWS integration, with Mine, and now with files and objects certification as well. So really a lot of information to to review over there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the demo that I had embedded there, I actually got that right off of YouTube. So I got to give the Nutanix team some props there, Mark. You make it really easy to see the product demos and such. So you can also go over to YouTube and over at the Veeam YouTube as well, which is where this video is going to go forever after. You can also watch all kinds of good stuff there as well. And one thing is, again, once you watch this video and replay again, still put it in the comments because we track that as well, where you're watching from. All right. Hey, Mark, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me, Rick. Safe travels back home.
Yeah, cheers. And for those of you on Monday on the Industry Insights episode, regulatory compliance in the public cloud is the topic. So I'm really excited if you want to look into that. It's a good after topic from AWS reInvent, which I know that Dave Russell was here for that. He's probably going to host that up with Jason. So awesome. With our producers in Romania and Atlanta, US, myself in Nevada, and Mark in California, I want to thank everyone for producing and delivering the content, and I want to thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you.